Gohar Shahi Marhaba. I would like to discuss with you matters relating to the advent of Imam Mehdi, the awaited one. A number of scholars throughout the world have been saying that the advent of Imam Mehdi is very near, and this has been going on for the past at least 1 decade. A few of learned scholarly individuals in Pakistan also are indicating the advent of the awaited one, Imam Mehdi, in near future. And then Sheikh Nazim Al-Haqqani from the Naqshbandi Sufi order, who comes from Cyprus, has also been saying that the advent of Imam Mehdi is very near. However, one individual, namely Tahir al-Qadri, very strongly dismisses any possibility of the advent of Imam Mehdi in our present time or in the next century, or even in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 centuries. He says it is at least almost 800 years before the world sees Imam Mehdi. And he has a considerable amount of following in different countries of the world. I do not know why and how has he concluded that Imam Mehdi's advent is not near. However, after the images of His Holiness Gohar Shahi has become prominent on different celestial bodies and terrestrial objects, we are pretty sure that His Holiness Gohar Shahi is the awaited Imam Mehdi. And this is not just the appearance of the images of His Holiness Gohar Shahi on the moon and on the sun, whole black stone, that sums up the advent of Imam Mehdi. There are a number of facts and a thorough probe into the teachings of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. And the authority and spiritual power and the discerning eye of His Holiness Gohar Shahi over the matters of humanity, and also the seal of Mahdihood, which forms up with veins and arteries on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. This seal of Mahdihood on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi is not a stamp, and it is not embossed or marked in the skin. The formation of the seal of Mahdihood on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi itself is a mighty evidence that it is not humanly possible to have made such a mind-blowing, phenomenal stamp. Because this seal forms up with arteries and veins, and this seal is not always visible on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. I mean, normally if you have this very rare opportunity to view the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi, the chances are that you will never see it. However, if His Holiness Gohar Shahi invites you to have a look at it, then of course you will see that many veins and arteries will gather together at one place. Mostly it appears on the left shoulder, mostly. And this is to do with the position of the heart. Because a seal, either it's a seal of prophethood or any other seal that endorses the fact that this dignitary has been anointed and appointed by God. Such seals always appear on the left shoulder. Now this seal of Mahdihood on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi is not like a rubber stamp.
Very true.
It's not carved in the skin. Had it been carved in the skin, the chances were people would attempt to have such a seal made on their skin, because they already have this system of tattoo.
Yes.
With that technology, you can have any normal stamp made on your back. But what God does cannot be done by any human being. So this seal of Mehdihood on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi is not always there. It forms up with arteries and veins, and when it appears from within the skin, the arteries swell up and form words like Mehdi, Gohar Shahi, and the kalima. And when it does, what happens is, when the arteries and veins swell up and it it's like raised up from the a normal area, you'll notice 7 different colors emanating from the seal of Mehdihood, from the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. So it's quite a fascinating experience to view. I remember Prophet Muhammad appeared to me in my dream back in 1997, and the Prophet asked me to start telling the world about Mehdihood of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. And in my dream, I was also shown the seal of Mehdihood on the back of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. Prophet Muhammad also had a seal of prophethood on his back. Sometimes when I looked at, for example, Sarkar is standing and I am standing on behind Sarkar at my place, I would see the seal would show up under the qamis, under the shirt. Especially when the room is dark or there is not enough light. It appears to be glowing. When I asked Sarkar Gohar Shahi if I was allowed to tell people that I witnessed this seal of Mehdihood on your back, His Holiness Gohar Shahi said that I was allowed to tell the world. I asked the Lord What if people ask me for an evidence and the Lord said, tell them, look at this image in Deen Ilahi. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is inscribed on the fingers of the right hand of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. And word Allah is inscribed on the fingers of left hand of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. So the Lord said to me, this word Allah and Muhammad written on my fingers is part of the seal of Mehdihood. So partially you can see the seal of Mehdihood if you look at that picture in Deen Ilahi. And the note under this picture is very significant. The Lord said, people raise questions why Allah is written on the fingers of your left hand. And Sarkar replied, if I had written word Allah on the fingers of my left hand, you could hold me as a culprit. And Sarkar said, ask God. He wrote His name on my fingers. It is not possible that we can inscribe the word Allah on our fingers in a way that it cannot be removed. It cannot be omitted. Because it's divine phenomena. It is not a human effort. Number two, word Allah appearing on Imam Mehdi Gohar Shahi's fingers of the left or right hand cannot be a disrespect to God or to Prophet Muhammad. Because according to Quran, there are some special mu'mineen upon the heart of whose God writes His name. Ulaika kataba fi qulubihumul iman. When Iman is inscribed on the hearts, Sarkar said, what would He write on your heart as Iman? Is there any word better than Allah? Why would He write anything lesser than Allah? When the person belongs to Allah, Allah will be written on his heart. So Allah is written on some hearts. And then what happens? You have your sons and your daughters and you put them on your chest. Word Allah is written on your heart, and your sons and daughters, while they're babies, you put them on your chest and play with them. Do you think this is disrespect?
No.
No, it's not. Number two, today people raise questions and say, oh, word Allah written on the fingers of left hand of His Holiness Gohar Shahi, this is disrespect to God's name. All right. What about Prophet Muhammad? he also has seal of prophethood and the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah inscribed on his back. But we also know for sure that his grandson used to sit on his back. Was that not a disrespect? I personally have observed this. On the index finger, Shahada, on the index finger of His Holiness Gohar Shahi, right hand, the nail of the index finger is full of writings. Full of writings. There are different ayah of Quran. There are different ayah from Lohe Mahfuz written on Sarkar's nail of the index finger. I was shown that Surah Yasin is written on the nail of the index finger of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. The whole surah. Oof. Whole surah. And these signs of God, His Holiness Gohar Shahi's image on the moon and images on the sun and in holy black stone, this is a divine indication that endorses the Mehdihood of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. Imam Mehdi has already come. However, in order for people to appreciate this truth and to embrace the truth, they need to have a criterion. They need to examine this truth systematically. The problem with people is their mind is already stuffed with negative propaganda and resentment, fruitless, futile resentment, baseless resentment. I mean, if you ask them questions, if you really want to know the truth, go after it. Make some inquiries. Examine it. Study the case. You don't know anything about His Holiness Gohar Shahi and you reject the truth. This shows how prejudiced you are. The problem is people have been given disinformation. Now, the lobby that works against His Holiness Gohar Shahi, they say everything that they want to say in order to do character assassination of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. However, if you really are just and you're in search of God and you follow Islam and Quran and tradition of Prophet Muhammad, then do not believe in news items not verified. And this matter of Imam Mehdi, advent of Mehdi, this matter that a number of people claim that His Holiness Gohar Shahi is Imam Mehdi, you should give this a very serious thought and some really intriguing examination. If you dismiss the truth without going into it, without looking into the matter, without examining it, it will only reveal how stupid you are, how ignorant you are, and how biased you are. Number two, we, the followers of Imam Mehdi Gohar Shahi, had been with His Holiness Gohar Shahi for a long period of time. And then, after many years, we noticed few things. We studied the case, and we came to believe that the one we were awaiting as Imam Mehdi has come. And this awaited one, Imam Mehdi, is none else but our own spiritual master. His divine grace, Lord Riaz Gohar Shahi. I tell you, for a genuine Imam Mehdi, he has to be appointed by God. And nobody should have a problem with this. If God appoints somebody to be Imam Mehdi, then it doesn't matter what kind of concept you have for Imam Mehdi, you have to believe it. If you don't believe the person that God appoints to be Imam Mehdi, then you're going against the will of God. You think Imam Mehdi will come from the skies? He won't live among people? No. Even Quran said about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He appointed one from among you. So where are we looking for Imam Mehdi? Have we set our eyes on the sky and waiting for Imam Mehdi? Maybe we're thinking Jibreel alayhi salam will drop Imam Mehdi one day, like Jesus will jump from Alam-e-Jabrut and he will fall onto the mosque in Syria. From Alam-e-Jabrut he would fall onto the mosque of Syria, and then he will need a ladder. He will not need a ladder for the journey between earth and sky, but from the mosque to the floor he will need a ladder. Let's say this: the genuine Imam Mehdi is one who has been appointed by God. And what could be a more authentic verification for the fact that His Holiness Gohar Shah is Imam Mehdi than having this authority and power that with one singular glance of His Holiness Gohar Shahi, lifeless hearts are revived and engage in eternal remembrance of God. One who is appointed by God can take anybody to God, and that is enough. Those fake ones, pseudo claimants, they didn't have this spiritual power. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani, he didn't have batini knowledge. He was not a Sufi. He was not able to connect people with God. I mean, none of the claimants had any spiritual insight, had any esoteric knowledge. They were all one-eyed python. They were all Dajjal. They had just one knowledge in their possession, which is available in books. Anybody can have such a knowledge. And the one who is appointed by God will have knowledge from God. Live knowledge. And then we see so many learned, discerning spiritual men today talk about the advent of Imam Mehdi, and they sum up according to their knowledge that emergence of Imam Mehdi is very near. But let me remind you, His Holiness Gohar Shahi 17 years ago said, a number of scholars all around the world are predicting the advent of Imam Mehdi very soon. However, Gohar Shahi says, Imam Mehdi has already emerged. And in your own country, Pakistan, he is presiding a spiritual organization. His face has been shown to the saints on duty. And now God is working on some kind of miraculous revealing of the identity of Imam Mehdi. And his knowledge will unite all religions, and his knowledge will unite all hearts of humanity. His discerning eye and his spiritual authority will unify hearts of humanity. Individuals like Tahirul Qadri, maybe because of their grudge against His Holiness Gohar Shahi, has said such a thing because the narrations that he mentioned, they were not even ahadith. They were narrations by some mufassirin and their own interpretation and their own opinions. There is no such a hadith. I give you an example. If humanity needs Imam Mehdi today, what do you think God would do? He would delay it knowingly?
No.
He would let humanity suffer.
No.
He would let humanity deprive of becoming mu'min and united with God. Do you think God will wait for the moment when nobody will need Imam Mehdi? I mean, this is the time when we need Imam Mehdi. I mean, peep into your hearts. The Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, they're all disconnected from God. You think this ritualistic practice of the religion makes you a godly person? You think going to the temple and the mosque and synagogue and churches will let you please God? Your heart is darkened. You're lost in the wilderness of this dunya. You have no connection with God. You have lost the mark of your excellence. The mark of the excellence for Mohammedans is the ability to see God. Whereas today, you're not even mu'min, let alone having the ability to see God. And you still think that Islam is everywhere. There are mosques, there are people in the mosque praying 5 times. So the kufr is not still prevailing. So this is not the right time for Imam Mehdi to come. Of course, there are mosques today. There are so many people praying in these mosques. But then again, when a calamity strikes against Muslims, all these Islamic countries go into coma.
True.
Nobody comes out for help. One Muslim country is suffering and its neighbor Muslim country is sleeping. They don't help each other. And according to Prophet Muhammad, all mu'mineen are brother. If one mu'min suffers, the other one feels the pain of his suffering. I mean, what kind of Islam do we have today? A deceased Islam. A deceased Islam. Islam was young when Islam was breathing Muhammad. When Islam was breathing Muhammad, then Islam was young. But when you omitted love of Prophet Muhammad from the body of Islam, Islam became a dead body, a living dead body. You have salat, you have som, you have recitation of the Quran, but today, my friend, your heart is not connected with God. You have this emptiness. You're not pleased with your religion. There are more than 73 sects in Islam today. More than that. And you're killing each other. You know, I'm really surprised when I see somebody living in Pakistan denying the possibility of Imam Mehdi appearing in this era. In Pakistan, where people are killing each other every day. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, towards the end of this world, people will kill each other without a reason. The killer will not know why is he killing. And the one being killed will not know why am I being killed. And this is happening today, in front of our eyes. I mean, every now and then we see the figure is in triple digit. 113 people died in Quetta today, 23 died in Korangi, 25 died in Mahmoodabad, and 30 died in North Karachi, and 10 died in Liaquatabad. So and so. People are constantly dying, are killed. This is an organized butchery of humankind. And these are all Muslims, Mujahideen. This is jihad fi sabilillah, killing Muslim killing each other, and you call it jihad? This is, by God, not jihad. This is fasad. I mean, what kind of Islam is this? Where a Muslim mujahid implants a bomb in a mosque. I mean, you have so much hatred for your own Muslim brothers, and you call it Islam, and you think Islam is prevailing? Where is it? I cannot see Islam in action. Islam, people used to say the saints are in the graves and Islam is restricted to the books only. But unfortunately today we cannot see Islam, even the books today, books been modified, altered, tampered with. We do not have the right interpretation of the religion of Islam today. I mean, this is the time of the ultimate adversity for the entire humanity, not just for the Muslims. We need the awaited one. Only he has authority and power to bring peace back into the lives of people. I mean, all the messengers and all the prophets and all the saints are back in the pavilion. Aren't they? When Imam Mehdi is going to play the last wicket. If Hadith says this is the time for Imam Mehdi to come, what if humanity needs Imam Mehdi earlier than expected? Do you think God will see humanity suffering? No. And one thing is really, really disturbing to my heart and to my mind. You see, Prophet Muhammad did not comment on anything after 14th century. Right? He has commented on leading events that would take place from the day he migrated from Mecca to Medina, and that's when Hijri starts. From that day till 14th century, he has predicted many things, and most of those things have happened. However, Prophet Muhammad remained silent on what would happen after 14th century. How can we believe what Tahir al-Qadri has said about the advent of Imam Mehdi? We're already in 15th century, and he is adding up another 8 centuries, which will mean 23 centuries. But Prophet Muhammad didn't say anything about 15th century. But how can you say Imam Mehdi will come in 23rd century when Prophet Muhammad did not comment after 14th century? If Imam Mehdi is coming in 23rd century, right? And Prophet Muhammad did not comment after 14th century, it means Prophet Muhammad never talked about Imam Mehdi. If he is coming in 23rd century, it simply means Prophet Muhammad never talked about Imam Mehdi. I ask people to ask Tahirul Qadri what is his source and how sure he is in what he said, and on what spiritual grounds does he believe that this era does not belong to Imam Mehdi. Number two, I invite people to compel Tahirul Qadri to tell us in the light of Quran and Ahadith and Sunnah the status of the image of His Holiness Gohar Shahi on the moon, and the spiritual and divine status, legal, religious and divine status of the image of His Holiness Gohar Shahi in the holy black stone. Ask Tahirul Qadri if there is a possibility of a human face appearing on the holy black stone. What does his knowledge say? And do not forget, he claims to have special knowledge given to him by God. Right? If he says there is no such thing in Quran and Hadith and Sunnah, then tell him, okay, don't worry about that. If you do not have anything mentioned in the Quran and in the Hadith and Sunnah about this image of His Holiness Gohar Shahi in the moon and in the sun and in the holy black stone, then utilize if you have any special knowledge granted to you by God. Tell us, is there any image on the moon? Say yes or no. Say yes or no. Is there any image in the holy black stone? Say yes or no. Because if you call yourself Shaykhul Islam, this matter is very sensitive.
It is.
We hold you responsible for finding a solution to this sensitive issue, because you call yourself Shaykhul Islam. Why don't you come up and comment on this issue? I mean, there are a lot of people who are not only talking about these images, but they are propagating all over the world. We're running a campaign, a publicity campaign globally. अब जो है मीर साहब आप इसके ऊपर तबसरा करें, फिर मैं अपनी गुफ्तगू मजीद करूँगा. अंग्रेजी में ही बोलें.
जी. गौशाही मरहबा. ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह.